Losing your cool is a phenomenal way to make way worse decisions than you would have had you just stayed calm and centered. You probably know that already. But then why do you still find yourself losing your cool in certain situations? Playing poker professionally for years taught me a lot about emotional regulation. And what I found was that emotional regulation boils down to one thing: disappointment. In poker, you can make all the right decisions and still get your nuts kicked in, which is pretty similar to life sometimes. When we expect something, we want a certain outcome, we have a little story that goes behind it. It's if I get this thing that I want, then I will be happy or excited or whatever good positive emotion. And if you don't get this desired outcome, you will be upset, you will be sad, you will be whatever negative emotion. If one person at the poker table loses $5,000, they might be miserable, they might go kill themselves, they might do something drastic, they might freak out. Another person might take it in stride. Another person might be laughing and happy. So that tells us that the actual loss, the circumstance, is not what causes the reaction. Most of the time, with a poker player especially, they have an expectation. They kind of know the probabilities that certain outcomes are going to happen. So then they've already set themselves up to expect a certain thing, an outcome. Even though they know it's a probability and 30% they'll lose, 70% they might win, in their mind, they're thinking, oh, I'm probably going to win. So there's an expectation that's created. And when that doesn't happen, you get to see and you get to feel, if you're the one experiencing it, what happens when your expectation isn't met. And what generally happens is you experience disappointment. The one method that I see over and over again that most players, even good players at the poker table, use, and this translates directly over to real life, is they know they're not supposed to feel disappointed. They know they're not supposed to focus on the outcomes, but they still experience an internal feeling of disappointment or injustice, or whatever that leads to. And so, what they do to deal with it is they suppress the emotion, they push it down. This is the most widely used method for sure at the poker table and probably in real life as well. They just force it down and pretend it's not there. And it works in the short term. It it can totally look like nothing happened. It's almost like the straw that broke the camel's back. You add the one straw, you can't even feel it. The camel's like, "Is there even straw on my back? I don't even know." But then over time, the straw pieces accumulate, and it's just like that with people suppressing their emotions. In this case, disappointment. You push it down, but it's building over time, and then eventually they have a blow up of some sort. It doesn't have to be a physical, external blow up. It can be an internal blow up, and it will affect their decision making going forward. If you can change your relationship to your expectations, because you're a human, you're likely going to have expectations. But if you change your relationship to those expectations, you can greatly decrease the amount of disappointment you'll feel. And let me explain how that works. When you experience disappointment, the narrative deep down, whether you're conscious of it or not, is my world is over. Everything is screwed now. And that's not actually the truth. When you experience disappointment, you experience the disappointment. Your expectation didn't get met. But if you zoom out and you start to go, okay, let's take stock of my life as a whole. It sounds kind of corny, right? But it's absolutely effective. You step back and you're like, okay, I just lost X amount of dollars in a poker game, for example. At first, you're very upset. You think the world is over. You don't say the world is over, but you're acting as if the world is over. You get up, you zoom out of whatever situation has caused you a disappointment, and you recognize that you're all right. It's okay. Like life is all right. Like life hasn't drastically changed. It might not have actually changed at all. The change might just be in your head. Like you might be telling yourself a story. Oh no, I lost money. I can't pay my mortgage. I can't do this. I can't do that. But on the outside, your life is exactly the same. So the more you can zoom out, the more you can see that your life is absolutely the same, the more you can start to realize that, oh, it's okay. Like actually I'm creating this dysregulation within me. And another thing you can do is to be, this sounds a little crazy, right? Stay with me here, is to be thankful for the adversity you're experiencing, for the disappointment you're feeling. because there are a lot of gifts in those disappointments. For example, that disappointment teaches you something about yourself, and you're like, well, whatever, I don't want to learn about myself. That's not a great view to take. You should try to learn about yourself because you're going to be able to deal with the world better if you do. But let's say, okay, cool, I can learn about myself, but I still lost money. But then you can take the stance of, ah, but this losing of the money or this adverse situation in life is teaching me something and leading me to another path. For example, in poker, I've known I've known people, I was one of these people, where you go on a downswing and you lose a lot of money over like a small amount of time. Some 60,000, $100,000 or something in, I don't know, 6 months or a year. And you think, oh no, my world is over. But then what happens is all of those losses lead a lot of people to this kind of valley, this bottom. And when they hit that bottom, they go, okay, I got to do something about this. And they do something about it. And maybe they work on their poker game. Maybe they quit poker and they get a job and their life is better. They do all kinds of things. But that leads them to the next decision that they're going to make. Instead of just continuing to do the same thing, they go, okay, how can I alter my approach? And that's actually a gift. That's a good thing because they're adjusting to the world and what they're being given. And that adjustment will lead them to new outcomes. And life is just like that. You get to a point to where you've had enough. You're going to do something different. I went through a 6-year depression where I just kept smoking weed and drinking alcohol and gambling and playing video games all day and not working. And over time, I was getting more and more miserable to the point to where I was like, wait a minute. Okay, I'm either going to end this thing or I'm going to do something different. And I kind of didn't want to end it, even though like I was contemplating because I didn't find a way out, get a little heavy here. But I came to a point where I was like, I gotta do something different. This ain't working. So what looks on the surface is like, dude, 6 years of life wasted actually leads me to changing who I am. And it becomes the best thing ever. And that decision stemmed from me fully accepting where I was at and taking full responsibility for where I was. If you want to learn more about full responsibility and how you can take it, then click that video right there and check it out. Because full responsibility is always going to lead you to the best path.